What's up, guys? Vince The Anomaly here with Shane.
What's up, dudes?
And today we are going to be covering the jab. Now, it is a multifunctional tool. It's probably the first punch you learn, but there's a lot of different ways to throw it. So let's check out 5 different ways that you can use it in MMA. The first jab for MMA that we're going to be working on is the switch jab. Alright, so what that looks like is I'm right here with Shane. Our traditional jab is basically we're pumping this arm out, we're turning our shoulders through, and we're using it to gauge distance, rack up points. But for the switch jab, I'm going to be throwing that same exact punch, throwing my shoulders through, but notice with my feet here, I'm switching my stance and taking a small cut outside. Okay, that opens up a lot of different options in MMA because obviously we can use our kicks, we can use our hands and stuff, we can use takedowns, so there's a lot of different things for this punch, and it's not really a power punch, I would say. I'm not going to really try to knock you out with this one or anything like that, but what I am doing is basically stepping off to the side here. Notice again, I switched my stance, so now I have a new angle to strike with Shane. One thing I like to do is just step right back through, come over with a cross. Another option you can do from here is switch, and notice how my foot is back, almost like a switch kick. I know Shane just covered those the other week. My foot's back, and I'm ready to throw that kick right to the liver there. And one thing I like that I saw from TJ Dillashaw when he fought John Lineker is he was standing in the southpaw stance, he did a switch jab, and then he stepped forward with that leg, got around the waist, and tripped him down. So it's a great move that you can use to really kind of take your the focus from your opponent and move it. So if I'm constantly cutting angles and at the same time I'm cutting that angle with the jab in your face, it's going to allow me to get to a different spot so I can hit you with strikes or with takedowns.
Also reminds me of GSP's Superman jab, right?
Yeah.
Similar to that, where you lift this up, maybe throw a teep, fake a teep, and then boom,
Exactly.
cover the distance, shoot that shot there. A little more exaggerated, but same concept.
Yeah, so with GSP's Superman jab there, he'd maybe throw this inside leg kick first, get you thinking about that. He'd bring that leg up, hit the jab, and then come back with his own leg kick. Yeah. So I love watching him do that. He did that in almost every one of his fights. He threw one of those, I felt like.
Signature move for sure.
But yeah, messing around with that switch jab, it works for a lot of different things, especially on that takedown that I just showed. The next jab we're covering is what I call the push jab. Okay, so let's say we're working with here Shane. I'm punching, I'm throwing, and Shane starts to shell up. Okay, if I'm maybe throwing a little flurry like that, Shane's got his hands up. Now, again, MMA, so we can use our hands to grip and grab. What I like to do here, when my opponent shells, I'm going to throw almost like that jab, but I'm going to open it up. Okay, so I'm going to physically, you can see on this angle, I'm grabbing the wrist there, and I'm going to push Shane forward. And it's going to kind of open up this space. Notice what Shane did with their right here in the rib cage. You can see everything opened up. I'm going to push, and then I'm going to rip the body. Okay, you can also get in here, he covers up, I push again, and I take that shot underneath. So basically with this push, we're getting our opponent to shell, and as soon as he does, we're getting him off balance with just a nice little push. Obviously in boxing you can't push, it's illegal. Yeah. But with MMA, again, use your hands to grab. And now, sweet little tip for you guys, I'm gonna kind of cut this angle, and notice when I do that, and Shane's shelled up here, if I push him, he doesn't have a base behind him. Yeah. Okay, if I just push Shane right here, if he's strong, he's got that foot back there, and he's able to just kind of stay where he is. If I take a tight little angle here, and I push, he's off balance. Learned that one from my coach Adam Lerner. It's a great one to use. So try to use this jab as more of a push. Again, I call it the push jab. And basically off balance your opponent, shooting for the takedowns, work the body. Or you can just push to offset the rhythm, keep it striking.
Yeah, I like that one pushing off to the angle too, because you think about it, we're on 2 legs, we're not a tripod. But for the record, I just want to say the first time that Vince and I sparred, he used this against me, and I was like, whoa, I love that. You got to teach that in the video one of these days, so it works.
The next jab we're going to be working on is the level change jab. So let's get in our fight stance over here. I'm going to throw this jab by getting nice and low. I'm opening my base up, and I'm throwing this jab up high. Okay, so again, I'm still throwing it at the head, but notice how wide my legs are. The reason I do this is twofold. One, it's for offense, and one is for defense. If I'm fighting a wrestler, so let's say Shane really wants to get in, shoot those double legs, grab the single leg, look at him shake his head. Shane probably won't do it. But if you're in MMA, obviously some guys are going to wrestle, right? So I get down here, I throw this. If Shane tries to shoot, even if he slips this jab and he shoots, I'm nice and low so I can start to sprawl, kick my leg back, and we can battle there. But if I'm doing my regular jab and Shane slips and shoots in, see how high, exactly. See, even Shane can get me down.
My best attempt.
Even Shane can get me down from there. If you're standing up tall, that guy's gonna be able to slip under. So, you know, my coach Adam has taught me this one, really wide base. Kenny Johnson, who's a great wrestling coach there at Black House, he says the same thing, man. You get low like that, it's gonna be really hard for someone to take you down. So on this jab, especially if you're fighting a wrestler, stay nice and low. Yeah. Okay, keep that base wide and change that level. Make sure you're low. Now, also, what does this open up for me? Maybe I want to get Shane down. Once I'm low like this, I'm already changing the level and I can penetrate through and finish with my double leg. Okay, so we can use this as an offensive weapon to one, not just land the strike, but I'm changing my level to boom, blast double right through Shane. So mess around with this one, guys. Try to go offense and defense. So try to take someone down with this level change jab, and at the same time use it against your wrestler friends. Don't let them get you down. The next jab we're going to throw is the thumb up jab. Basically what we're going to do is be throwing this jab, but instead of turning our punch over like how we're taught to do, I'm actually going to keep my thumb to the sky. Okay, it's going to go right down the middle, rotating my shoulders through, and I'm landing on Shane. Now the reason this works well in MMA is obviously because we have these small gloves. Right? It's really hard to cover everything here, cover everything there. If you notice that someone's blocking a lot of your jabs, whether they're parrying it, whether they're just covering up and shelling, even with the tight shell, guys, this punch is gonna slip through if you're throwing the thumb to the ceiling. Yeah. All right, so I would say mix it up. Don't throw it all the time, but if you notice this guy's bringing his arms in, he's got a nice tight shell, boom, rip it one time, thumb to the sky, and you're gonna land that one. I just trained this a lot with Tommy Aaron the other day. He's hitting me a bunch with it. I was like, man, I gotta start doing that more often, and it works well with these little MMA gloves. So be sure to mix that into your jab routine. Get that thumb to the sky and pump it right through the guard. Now the last jab we're gonna cover today is the power jab, or almost like a knockout jab. Yeah. I would say that in boxing and Muay Thai and stuff, usually you're using your jab to again, judge distance. You're using it to kind of create a rhythm. And even sometimes if you're landing a stiff jab, it's a nice hard jab, but you're not really looking to knock someone out. But in MMA, again, with these small, tiny 4-ounce gloves, you see a lot of knockouts coming just from a jab. Okay, so the reason we're going to throw this one, or the way to throw this one is Shane and I were talking about it earlier, is I'm going to kind of load up on this jab, and I'm going to be pushing through exactly like how I would throw my hooks, where I'm getting my hips and legs into it. Yeah. If I'm throwing my overhand, I'm dipping, I'm getting a wide stance, and I'm pivoting through. We're going to do the same thing with the jab here, except I'm going to square my shoulders up a tiny bit. I'm going to explode off of this back leg and really drive through. Okay, so again, I'm squaring up my shoulders just a tiny bit, and because it's MMA, I know this can be a knockout punch here. I'm going to explode through off of this back leg, even pushing with this lead leg here, rotating at the hips, turning my shoulder, and I'm following through. One thing you guys can think of when you're landing these power shots is punching through the person's chin. So I'm trying to punch through the back of Shane's head with this shot, and hopefully I get that knockout blow. Yeah. But again, the real big thing about this jab is not really to try to knock someone out every single time, but it's to know that you can do it. I think in boxing, or I know when I'm just doing boxing sparring, it's like, okay, I'm going to land my stiff jab because I know it's going to be a hard one. Yeah. And then I'm going to land like these regular patty cake style jabs, and then boom, another stiff jab. In MMA, when we're fighting, think power jab, think knockout jab, and boom, you're going to get one of those one day, because all it takes is one nice clean shot with these little MMA gloves and person goes out.
Yeah, what I like about this too is what you can do to disguise the movement, the rhythm where Vince was talking about squaring the shoulders up, is you see this a lot, right? Just this motion right here. So when you're on the left side and you're twisted over, I call this the Scotty Poi position. My old buddy Scott Kelleher used to use this one all the time. We would throw the cross from this position, but it would also load up that power jab. So he'd be touching here, and then you got this left shoulder is now in the rear, which means more distance to travel. It's going to gain more velocity, and I got more hip torque to where I can really shoot that one in. So just one more thing to mess around with when you're trying the power jab. All right, guys, there you have it, the jab, the lead arm straight punch, but now you understand that there's different functions. You can throw it at different tempos, different speeds, different powers. There's different uses for them. So experiment with it, give it a try, and see how it works out for you. Until next time, be sure to check out this man's Instagram, links in the description below. Give him a follow, please. I don't ask for a lot. Do that for me. But until then, also, I'm asking for one more thing. Subscribe to get the fight tips before your opponent does. You'll be happy that you did. Until then, I'm Shane.
Vince The Anomaly.
Fight tips for the underdogs.